How we doing, everybody? I'm Andy Malfrina. This is Drag the Lake, reactions and reviews. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button. I post a couple videos every week. If you want some long-form content, go over to the main channel. We do full albums reviews. We do streams on the weekend. It's a fun time over there. Also, if you have any requests, got a link down below. Throw me a couple bucks. I'll talk about whatever you want, baby. Anyway, let's talk about this song, Speed, The First Test. Full disclosure, I have listened to this already, so it's not like a first time ever listening, whatever, reaction, review, but it is still my thoughts, and yeah, I'm getting big into Speed. I gotta be honest, the band. I'm getting big into Speed. They were kind of a band. I probably mentioned this on the last video, but they were a band that were always kind of around. I would check them out. I'd be like, these are some cool dudes, but you know, I never really spent time past just watching the video or listening to the song for the first time. And then I just kept seeing them pop up. They are a band that is very good with the social media, and they figured out a way to make it like cool and not like overbearing. They kind of made it feel very organic. They were putting out those docs called Gang Called Speed, which was very funny for me at first because I was like, are they called Gang Called Speed? Because that would have actually been a fun band name. It would have been good for the algorithm, which is a hilarious thing to think about now. Well, it's been a thing for a while to think about for your band title, because I will be on, but I guess even if your band is something generic, or not generic, I'm sorry, even if it is something very broad and general as Speed, you can still type Speed Band and they pop up right away. So I guess it's not really that big of a deal, but something about calling your band Gang Called Speed was pretty sick in my head. So maybe you guys, changed the name just for me. Maybe that's something you considered. You'd already commented on one video. Maybe you just changed the entire band name just for me. But regardless, they've been growing on me. I've been really planting my flag in this hardcore genre as of the past couple years. I've always been a fan of it, but I wouldn't say hardcore was like my main thing. In high school, emo was my main. Emo and pop punk and a good amount of ska were my main things. Then I was big into rap in college. And I've always liked metalcore, and then I shifted after my rap phase, which all these genres I still listen to, but you always have that like main one. And then I shifted over to much more metalcore and stuff like that. And just over the past couple years, I don't know who exactly it was. It might have been Knocked Loose. I can't remember specifically who was the band that sort of was the first intro to a much purer hardcore sound. Might have been Knocked Loose. I can't remember, but I know over the past, it was definitely some post-pandemic shit. It was over the past 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, I've really embraced the hardcore shit, and I'm like, yeah, I think this is like my main thing right now. And maybe I use you guys up and I move along. Who the fuck knows? But right now, guys are my main bitch. Anyway, all respect. It's a dope genre, a lot of hardworking people. All due respect. But anyway, so then this sort of genre being my main thing, it's and like Kublai Khan's kind of my favorite band right now. Speed is definitely one of I fuck with them. I was listening to them a bunch the other day. They're really dope. They're one of those bands that you can polish off their discography in about 40 minutes. They're what we like to call over here a buy early. It's a good damn time. They have a good message, and so I get pumped every time I see them. I listen to this song. I got real hype. You guys probably already know about the flute, but regardless, we're going to listen to it, and we're going to experience it, because I have a lot of opinions about this song. Play it. Oh, I just thought about this where when you saw him say "move it" and had the subtitles, it's a comment I made on the 4 Year Strong videos that I've been watching, that have been coming out lately for the new album, and they're doing the same thing. And I always try to, if anyone watches my video, if any bands watch my videos, I always like to encourage that, is have a sort of general theme for every album, from song to song, from or music video to music video, have sort of a stylistic theme, because it makes it a little bit more special as the fan. It's sort of it helps break up every album into a almost a chap. It makes it feel like a chapter where if you have a specific vibe, it's similar to like Bill Burr. He's a very funny comedian if you haven't heard of him, but every album he has a very distinct feel and look to it. And that sort of helps you sort of separate, when you're a fan of something, being able to almost separate it in your head via eras and shit like that. It's nice. It's fun. It just adds a little bit more, it adds a little bit more, and that's fun. I also will say, or wait, was that a guest vocal? Life is beautiful, we know where to hide. Find peace, being truthful. The first test, say fuck the rest. Put it on roadway. Test two, live the style that you choose. My life, my attitude. The first test, say fuck the rest. It's funny. Sorry, I'm just realizing stuff about myself, and that's what this is for. It's not really about reviewing the song. It's about therapy sessions, because I don't go to therapy. I don't talk to people. I talk to people, but what I do is I listen to music and I record videos and I post them on the internet, and then I hope that turns into money at some point. Maybe. No, it's funny, when I was younger, I definitely rolled my eyes at all the positivity shit. And I realize now it's because I wasn't like depressed. And now that I'm older, and it's like, I'm not even depressed. I think it's just the older you get, you're like, life's like hard, man. I was I grew up in the suburbs. Shit was comfy. Shit was comfy wumpy. I was like, what's everyone complaining about? They're all just belly achers. I don't know what they're complaining about. Then, life kicks you in the nuts and you're like, damn, this shit's hard. It's just hard as fuck, dude. What the hell? What the fuck? So it's like, I think this is another reason why I've just been embracing hardcore, because it definitely, like, especially like my 30s. My 30s have been real, I don't know. It felt almost eye-opening. Like, I've been, well, also, if you guys have been paying attention to any of my other stuff, I'm moving to Texas. I've been doing stand-up for a while. I'm, making a big move to Texas with some friends, but I'm also leaving. So it's like a lot of things are going on, and it's just over the past couple of years, it's been slowly being more and more things. It's like, I enjoy my life. I have a lot of fun, but there's still a lot of things that stress me out and all this shit. I'm going to Texas. I'm not going to have a day job. I'm going to try to which, by the way, if you want to fucking do a link down below, I'm not going to have a day job. But no, for real though, it's like you have all these stresses, and then, you're like, fuck, this is hard. And then you pop on speed and they're like, keep your fucking head up. You're like, yes, sir, I will. It's nice too. But it's like good advice too. Cause that is kind of, well, that is like the weird balance of life, because you do kind of have to be like, yo, I'm going to do my own thing. But you also got to make sure your own thing doesn't hurt anyone. If I'm just going to do my own thing. But if your own thing is being like Jeffrey Dahmer, you're like, maybe don't do your own thing. Maybe find a new thing. But for real, though, most of us aren't Jeffrey Dahmer. Most of us are doing a good thing. Or trying to do a good thing to some degree. And I know for me, a big thing that's really gotten me fucked up is just like this constant, because when I was younger, I was always obsessed with like being cool and stuff like that. And the older you get, you're just like, oh, it's like it's hard to be cool in your teens and 20s. Once you hit 30, it's next to impossible to be cool. You know what I mean? It's fucking impossible to be cool. But like worrying about being cool, you're always worried about like what other people think and shit like that. And it's like I still have, like I don't know if you guys have been on a mental health journey or not, but like I have. And let me tell you about it. But no, for real though, like I think like I've definitely evolved in the way I think and perceive life, so in a much more healthy way, but you still have these like hangover emotions. You have these like this like learned behavior that you logically worked your way out of it, but you still have those reflexes from time to time. So yeah, that just makes life annoying. And so being able to like pop on, this will get back to the music. It's not just like a personal session for me to talk about myself. I say all this to say, like, life's hard, and it's nice when the bands you listen to, because it's like, I'm 34. I know a lot of people think we're supposed to be tougher than we are now, but we're not. So sometimes I got to pop on Speed and they got to yell at me to be positive. And I go, absolutely, guys. Thank you oh so much. I really appreciate that. That's the path that I choose. So here comes the big part that I got real hyped for. I remember seeing this online, and then that was around the time this song came out. It was like the same day probably. And let's just let it rip, because this shit's goddamn amazing. What in the hell does he have in his hand? What do we just see in his hand? That's just fucking great, man. We start off with a good little positivity. First test, say fuck the rest. Second test, choose your path. I forget what he said. I gotta double check what the second test was. And then we'll be like, all right, you guys are feeling positive? Let's just jam. Let's just jam the fuck out. And it goes pretty hard. Just with the rhythm, just a doom 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 doom, or however the fuck they were doing it. But like, now, so the obvious thing is to be like, ooh, the flute was so cool. But like, I don't want to overstate it, because this happened with the reggaeton beat in the Knock Loose song. Everyone's overstating the point. Like, oh my God, it's so good. And then, because that's like the new currency now, is to either be like the most sad. You're not allowed to have in-between opinions. You're not allowed to be like, it was good. Which I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying like the song ruled. But you're not allowed to just be like, well, like everyone has to show the world that they're like a unique unicorn. And that whenever a thing happens, they have to show how they experienced it as their unique unicorn. And so they have the da, and then someone goes, that was so cool. And then other people go like, Knock Loose is changing music, which I think you could say that, but chances are someone saying that is just trying to do it for attention, trying to act like Knock Loose is turning into a reggaeton band. And then, you have someone else being like, I always saw the reggaeton influence in Knock Loose. And you're like, you're just making things up. Now, to be fair, I didn't actually hear someone say that. I'm being a silly goose, but you saw a lot of people like, who knew Knock Loose had such a strong reggaeton influence? And you're like, guys, we need to calm down. And, maybe it's the benefit of Speed not being big yet. Like, they're pretty popular in hardcore, but they're not like huge yet. They're still opening for a lot of bands. I don't know if they've really done like a proper headliner like that yet. Definitely not in the States. So I didn't really see too many people sort of overly extrapolating what this flute in this song meant. But just musically, you like to see that in hardcore. I love seeing stuff like that in hardcore where sort of bands show that they have like a much wider array of influences upon them than you, because like I remember, obviously I wasn't alive in the well, I don't know if it's obvious. I was told by a gay friend of mine, I have a timeless look to me, so that meant a lot. And if he was hitting me on that night, it was the first day of Pride. So if he was hitting on me that night, I would have let him smash, because that's a great compliment. But I don't know how old I look. So it may not be obvious that I'm not born in the 80s. But no, I've seen like a lot of the docs about like 80s hardcore and stuff like that, and just punk in general. And there's always this like false pride in the fact that you're like, I actually don't know how to play my fucking instrument. And you're like, that's not a brag. Like, the appeal to punk is that it's easy to get into. But after a certain point, like, it's easy to get into. You go look up the Ramones, you go, that's seriously all they're playing? Blitzkrieg Bop's 2 chords, or maybe it's 3 chords. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally all they're fucking playing. And you go, you learn the Ramones, but then you get better at your guitar. A lot of these dudes, you'll see it in like a lot of the docs about like 80s hardcore and shit. You'll see these dudes who just didn't get better at their guitar. They didn't make any money, so they weren't able to get good recording, or good studio time or anything like that. So they're just like, no, you don't realize, like, in those dog shit recordings we did with like a fucking tuna can and string, when we did it through the tuna can and string, like like an old timey, what was it, Little Rascals cartoon, when we recorded our debut album like that, and like my guitar was basically a milk jug with rubber bands on it. That actually is the raw, realer sound. It actually sounds better than that overproduced stuff. It does not, 80s hardcore punks. It doesn't. I appreciate what you did. The song structure and the songwriting was really good, but it sounded bad. So don't pride yourself in not knowing how to play your fucking instrument. Like, I'm all about, like, I'm not gatekeeping. If you want to do something, try it. I'm the king of trying things. I love trying things. But don't lie to yourself and be like, actually, the fact that I don't fucking know shit is what really brings out the creativity. It's like, no, learn things. And bringing it back to Speed, you see stuff like this, and you're like, you know, because the flood, I mean, God, they're not doing a whole lot, but the Flutter, it's all... Yeah, man. Just like the harmonizing with the... I don't know flute. That might be an easy flute line to play, but the dude from Speed is still like... It's not... Like, remember when Yellow Card came out and people... Or not even Yellow Card, because I actually don't... That's not fair. There wasn't this, like, big influx of dudes playing fucking violin in bands, because it was like Yellow Card did it, but most people were like, I don't know if we want to do all that. But no, it's like when the microchord got introduced. And it was like, oh, you know, you could have synth in your band for like $400 fucking dollars. Well, and also maybe it wasn't just the microchord, but like when the keyboards got cheaper, and you'd have all those hardcore bands that would just have a dude hitting an arpeggiated chord, just going like, and then like just like metalcore breakdowns and shit like that. And it would just be bands who would do that just because. And you're like, you're not really like thinking this through. You're not really thinking this out to make this a fucking experience. That's what Speed did. That's why I say all this. Speed did that. They like thought it out, and they're like, we're going to make it an experience. We're going to make it feel like you're in a fucking, you know, they actually wrote Kill Bill 3. And this is the song they're playing right before Uma Thurman's going to beat up someone else and cut their head off or some shit like that. Like it immediately, like good music, when it starts to happen, it should immediately transport you into like a lot, or I don't know if it should do this, but a lot of times for me, like moments like this transport your head into this space that's already, you've never thought of before, but it's already like pre-established. Like the second they started playing it, I immediately could see the fight scene that this was the soundtrack to, you know, things like that. So yeah, I don't know if any of that made any sense, but yeah, man. It ripped hard. We're gonna let it play. We're gonna let it play out one more time because I want to hear the flute again. I want to hear the all that shit. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Speed, first test, absolutely fucked. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later, guys. Have a good one. Be about a peace.